in the mirror like I can't believe I got my hair like this in the middle of Los Angeles. So I got some good stories though. It's funny, you know.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I'll tell you all the time I'm backwards, right?
Uh-huh.
I cut my hair in the fall and winter, and then I grow it out spring, summer, normally.
Mm-hmm.
But just like having to worry about buying products and
Yeah.
as your hair grows, and when your hair grows and you don't take care of it properly, you do look crazy.
Yeah.
And like right now, I can just go use my concave brush, wop, 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 throw a little moisturizer on, and I'm out the door.
You out the door?
Out the door. I don't have to worry about washing it as much, conditioning it, throwing the doodop in there, juices and berries, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
For you, deciding whether or not you to blow out, whether or not you're gonna take time out of your day to have somebody spend 2 or 3 hours on it to braid it.
Yep. That's what
And
it is every time.
then finding the person to braid it to make sure you can get into that schedule, which affects your schedule. But I'm glad you made the decision, dude.
Yeah,
I'm glad
man.
you made the decision.
I had to, man. It was one of those things. I might restart, get a different routine for how I take care of it. Learned a lot the first time, and something about just that clean, fresh, get the waves back, get you reset a little bit.
As we say in Chicago, the willows. The willows. Now, I said, are you a stocking cap or do-rag dude?
I'm a do-rag guy, but
You're a do-rag guy?
I like getting my different colors going, try to get something different at it. But I have seen the caps are kind of nice. The caps are kind of nice.
See, I do. I like the caps. See, I just can't do that tail look, man.
No, you don't like the tail look?
I can't do the tail look. Never have done the tail look, even back to like elementary school. I can never do the tail look. Matter of fact, my first wave cap was literally one of my mom's pantyhose, bro.
Really?
Yeah, man, I blame my dad for that, dude. My dad was always trying to find a way not to spend money. And I'm like, man, I need a wave cap. Can you stop and give me a wave cap on the way home? Like, dude, we'll make a wave cap when we get to the crib. Like, what are you talking about? I think he literally just went and stole a pair, bro. I don't even think he told my mom. He just went and got a black pair, cut the leg, tied up the top. Voila.
Voila.
My first wave cap. It was crazy. So from then on, it was me. For me, it was always the caps. Going in front of the caps. Usually get 3 in a pack, 2 or 3 in a pack. Sometimes I just hate because my head is a little bit larger than most.
It's just a fitting.
I'm sitting on that 7 3/4. It's all good. I'm sitting on that 7 3/4. It's all good. So sometimes the wave cap will slide. At night, slide up a little bit. Sometimes slide off, depending upon how I sleep.
Yeah.
But I just can't do that tail. Now my nephews, they do the cap, but then they roll up the tail in the back and somehow, some way, like push it up in the strings that tie it up. So that's another way to do it too.
See, okay. I like that. I like that way too.
That's that New York way. You have to give New York the props. That's the New York way. New York started that, the rolling up the back, and then it went on. Chicago has always been heavy do-rag too, but man, we got a lot of people to put on the petty train today, bro.
Really? A lot of petty train candidates?
Yeah, a lot of people to put on the petty train, man. As I was preparing for the show, I was watching some TV before I started preparations for today's show. And it's a lot of haters out there. And see, this shows you how objective and fair I am.
There are a lot of haters out there.
I will not will not allow any 23 hate. You already know this.
Yeah, the 23 hate.
The 23 hate, I don't allow. Never.
We're not taking the slander.
No 23 slander. Not on this podcast. But I'm speaking from a Chicago standpoint.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
You're talking about they dropped my guy Carnell.
Now all of this talk with Steph making it back to the finals about this dude, whose era is it? Like, man, what are y'all talking
Era
about?
is it?
What are we talking about?
Whose era is it?
And let me be honest, man. I disliked Steph Curry for a while, and I'll tell you why.
Real dislike?
It was the media's fault. Let me tell you why. Because when they were winning championships, you start to hear stuff like, "Is he the number one player in the world? Like, has he changed the game more than anybody else has changed the game?" I'm like, man, y'all doing way too much. Like, he's never been a better player than LeBron.
No.
He's never been a better player than KD. He just no, dude. No. Stop. We saw for the last 2 years, you take Clay, you take his help away. He's not putting anybody on his back and carrying them to a championship. He does not have that ability. So you can tell me, if you put him on those Cleveland teams that LeBron took to 8 straight finals, do they go to 8 straight finals?
Wait a minute, man.
Answer the question.
First of all, we can't skip over the fact that you are wishing that a man's health wasn't there for a guy's success.
No. I didn't.
That's a big thing, though.
Stop putting words in my mouth, bro.
You said if it wasn't for
that's that Dayton coming out of you. That's that Dayton, Ohio coming out of you. Stop putting words in my mouth. That's not what I said.
You said if it wasn't for if you take away the health of Clay.
No. I said with Clay being out, you got to see.
Why do you have to have a man out if the man was in?
What do you mean? That's the challenge.
That's a part of
it. If you're missing a piece, can you elevate your game? What are you talking about?
Is it hard enough to get there and win? Is that not the hardest challenge itself?
When Kyrie went to Boston, did LeBron elevate his game to get the Cavs back to the finals?
All I know is that Dale Curry.
I call him Wardell. I call him Wardell.
Unanimous MVP, never been done. Not only that, he's only played with a top 75 player for 2 years, and that was Kevin Durant. Other than that, Steph Curry has taken his team and won the NBA Finals without a top 75 player. That's something that nobody has done. Not LeBron, not
Lefty Podcast,
Jordan, not Larry Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry is winning finals without a top 75 player. And on top of that, he has the greatest regular NBA regular season without another superstar top 75 player.
I give you that. You just going to go over. You trying to create an argument where there is none.
Yeah.
You didn't even let me finish my statement. I said I used to dislike Steph Curry because I felt like the media was doing too much.
Okay.
And calling him the greatest player in the world. Like, no, dude, he's never been the greatest player in the world. No. Never. Not as long as that dude from Cleveland, from Akron was living. He's never been the greatest player in the world. If you want to debate anybody else, that's fine. And I don't even think it's close. Like, I don't think it's close between him and Steph. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, because it's just,
it's not even close. And all this conversation this morning, when people are talking about whose era is it? If he wins a championship, wins the MVP, does he surpass LeBron James? Is he now in the top 10 and LeBron leads the top 10? It's like, man, y'all doing, once again with Steph Curry, y'all doing way too much.
Way too much.
Just let us enjoy the young man. Let us enjoy him. And don't make us dislike him. Like, let us enjoy the talent. Like,
So you saying they treated Steph like an overplayed radio song?
right. And you know, with overplayed radio songs, you start out not liking it, and then all of a sudden you're humming it in the shower before you know it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a method to the madness and the way radio operates. They know what they're doing. And that's what the media tried to do with Steph Curry, dude. They literally tried to ingrain him into the thought processes of all NBA fans. Like, this dude is the best. And it's like, relax.
It's like, relax.
Yes,
He's really
I
good.
enjoy watching Steph Curry play. I had to catch myself. I was like, I don't really dislike Wardell. I don't
Right.
dislike him.
It's not. I don't have a beef with him.
I don't have a beef with Wardell. None at all. Right? It goes to your point, though. You're right. But he only won one championship without that top 75, that top player. He only won once. He also gave up a 3-1 lead. Like, we forget to mention the same things we'll get on Doc Rivers about, same things we'll get on Paul George and Kawhi about. Just because we love the pretty face assassin, let's remind everybody that he gave up that 3-1 lead and had a terrible fourth quarter in the game 7. Let's talk about that.
And Kevin Durant got swept.
Absolutely. I was slander Kevin Durant as well. Absolutely. He let Jason Tatum send his tail home quick.
Oh, no, I think it happens to the best of them.
My point is, people, I'm the biggest supporter of Chicago 23 in the world. But gosh darn it, this is the LeBron James era. Relax, man.
Yes.
Like, oh, stop.
LeBron James has just done it for 2 decades straight. That's just why people think it's faded, because it's been so long. 2 decades LeBron's been doing this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. It really is. It really is, man. So today's show, Lucky Lefty Podcast. I'm Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics. This is the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire at Overtime Malik. We're brought to you and featuring Anora Whiskey. AnoraWhiskey.com is that premium American whiskey. AnoraWhiskey.com. Now, bro, yesterday, I was part of a conversation where, you know how you talk about things from the past, and all of a sudden you start to remember things that were buried way back there, and they come to the front. And I started to realize, like, yo, I was wilding out in college, bro.
Why do you say that?
Like, I started thinking about some things, like, I don't even know if I would want my daughter to know about this particular thing that took place. Because I'm pretty transparent with baby girl, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty transparent with
You
my
tell her enough.
I tell her, yeah. And there's certain things I realized just like, I don't know if I would want her to know about this right here, right?
Yeah.
And it made me think, there's certain things that a lot of people don't want to come to the forefront. Maybe this is the reason why the previous head coach talks so much, right?
Okay.
Talks a lot. And anyone that talks a lot, you have to realize, what are they trying to keep you from seeing? Because they want to keep your attention over here. And they want to talk about lunches and bags, all that stuff, and opportunity. And I was a closer, all of this stuff. And it's like, what are you really trying to cover up?
What are you trying to say?
Are you trying to cover up the fact that you just didn't get the job done? Are you trying to cover up that things weren't as nice when you left? Like, you can say I was trying to go and compete with the best in the SEC, the likes of Alabama, likes of Georgia. I wanted that challenge. But there was an interview on Irish Players Club last night, if I'm not mistaken, that I believe you took part in.
Happened to be there.
Not last night, pardon me, on Tuesday night. And defensive back Brian Barnes was on there. And you guys were discussing What's the difference with Marcus Freeman? And he brought up the team morale. He said the team morale is totally different. I thought that to be very interesting. Because if I go back to interviews that we've had with former players on here, that's been alluded to as well. It's well documented that the parents of other players absolutely couldn't stand the previous head coach for several reasons. You have spoken on this podcast about how you felt like he flat out lied to you. And I started to realize, like, yo, were the natives truly getting to a point where he had to leave? Natives, I'm talking about the players. Had the locker room truly gotten to a point? Had the team morale truly gotten to a point where he really had no choice but to bounce the way things were going? And all of this talking is just to cover what was really going on the last 2 years in that locker room, right? The stuff that will eventually come out concerning Kyle Hamilton that hasn't been spoken about. That's going to come out soon. It always comes out.
It always comes out.
Always comes out. And I'll let Kyle and the other players that are in that locker room, I'll let them talk about that. The disrespect that he showed to his coaches on his staff that he hired, calling them out of their names. And the players seeing this, all this type of stuff. But these are things that you saw as well, bro. It's not just like the last 2 years. This goes back to 14, 15, 16.
It just goes back to, I mean, it's just a tough environment at the time. When you're winning a lot, and then you're in the program, you seem to think that these are the things that it takes to win. So when you're in it, it doesn't seem as crazy as it is on the outside, where you're like, it's calling guys names and this, that, and the third. When you're there, it definitely is a very, very intense environment. I think just from what the school is and the program, and then whatever Coach Kelly had in there, I think a lot of it was because there was a lot of unknowns. So that's what made it super intense, because nobody ever knew really what, your place was in the program. So when it's like that and it's intense like that, it's just a different sort of competitiveness, because then you're winning games and you have a style of going about it. But then the style, you get in there, some Harry Heaston, he's doing his thing, and then that's intense, but you loving it because you're getting first round, you're getting top tackles,
Right.
all type of stuff. And then you're looking over, and then you got a competitive defense, and you got Van Gorder, and he's who he is, and guys not really knowing their place, but you got superstars though.
Right.
You got you a Jalen, got you Isaac Rochelle over there, you got you a Sheldon Day, but it's intense because nobody on the defense knows really what's going on. Like, they trying to learn the defense, they trying to understand what's going on. It's just the overarching Coach Kelly and the way he goes about things, it's very it's very passive. It's just a passive culture. So it's like, okay, everybody knows you're supposed to go to workouts at 8:00, right? You go to workouts at 8:05. Nobody says nothing to you, but then you just don't get no reps for like 3 weeks. so it's just intense because you don't know what's going on. You're talking to your position coach. Your position coach is giving you the runaround because he know he can't really, give you nothing to chew on for real. So it's just a lot. And in the midst of all of this, you're winning games. So you're thinking this is just what a top program is, compared to the more fun loving, everybody's involved kind of
I just found that interesting. As I was talking and having this conversation, I was like, yo, like, yeah, like if my daughter ever just says, so dad, what's the craziest thing you ever did in college? I'm like, I don't know if I really want to talk about that with you. You know what I'm saying? Not the craziest, because I forgot. Like, I had an idea, like, oh yeah, I did this. Then I started talking. I'm like, oh snap. No, that's not the craziest. I can go deeper than that.
thing. Yeah, it's like I have more.
I can go deeper than that.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah. And see, I applaud you and the rest of the Notre Dame players for the brotherhood you have and the way you guys will talk about certain things. Even just now, when I asked you that question, you were very careful with the way you described what was going on, because you all are very protective of the brand at all times. It's amazing. Like, I've never seen any other football program where the players that are like 10, 15 years out are still like super protective of the brand. Almost like you're still at the school. It's like, just tell the story, man. It's like, no, you guys sit there and calculate. Let me make sure I say this the right way. I don't want this to get back. Like, I don't want it to be taken out of context. Like,
Yeah, it's just a
so
passive.
conscious of protecting the brand.
Yeah.
And it's commendable. I'm sure everybody in the chat is like, tell the full story. Like, my point is, when the book is written about the BK era,
Okay.
especially if it's written by somebody not connected to him, that gets time to sit down with players, it would definitely be a New York Times #1.
Yeah, it'll be a good one for
The
sure.
stories would be too scathing. Like, it's incredible. Like, just the stuff that I know, that I would never violate relationships to talk about it. It's ridiculous, man. Like, you guys literally built the winning culture by yourselves.
Yeah, in spite of. Yeah, it was like an in spite of thing.
Absolutely.
It was like all the guys that felt like they were wronged in their process of like trying to be like 3 and out, and
absolutely,
it was like all those guys were left over, and then we all got together and then got real tight and became a team that we thought couldn't be beat. But it was always in spite of some shit. It was like how Michael Jordan found motivation from anything. Like, the guy, said a joke in the locker room or something that he took personal. It was like we all had our personal beefs, like with what was going on. And then we just found like other guys that had those things, and we ended up being really good because of it. And then you mix in, like, you got your Will Fillers and Jalen Smiths of the world, and you throw in a guy like Q. You got you a disgruntled, athletic, athletically frustrated superstar team. And that's what we end up being, despite injuries, despite all the stuff that was going on. We, like Coach Kelly said in the Shaun Crawford interview, we're definitely 2015 offense was a team that Hall of Fame worthy.
Well, we kind of had established that on the Lucky Lefty podcast.
Yeah, established that
already. Thank you, Coach, for like solidifying and backing up what we've said for months prior to. But shout out to our brother Shaun Crawford.
Doing his thing, man. He getting these exclusives.
Doing his
thing.
Traveling. Exclusives. Absolutely.
He traveling for it.
I mean, dude, he's had Marcus Freeman and BK. I mean, that's a heck of a start.
He got Coach Kelly at another school talking about Notre Dame. Wearing another school merch talking about Notre Dame. Like, he can't let it go.
Yo, shout out to the big bro. Man, doing this thing. Lucky Lefty Podcast. So yesterday was a good day for Notre Dame. A long time. And if you watched the podcast, we threw out the breadcrumbs for months. And we knew this was coming. Jaden Lamar had been a silent commit to Notre Dame for a while. Originally, he had planned to commit at the blue and gold game, but then decided to push it back because he wanted to take a couple more visits out of respect. He didn't pull a Rodney Gallagher. Like, even though he had made his decision,
and we
he
understand.
still wanted to take the official visits out of respect. He took the official visits, finished up.
But Notre Dame is an official visit more for status. It's like I went to Notre Dame on an official visit because they wanted me.
Facts.
You may not want to go. It's like going to Hawaii. It's like, it was all expense paid vacation. How did I not go?
So the number one running back from the West Coast, Lake Stevens High School in Lake Stevens, Washington, 4-star, 6 feet, 190 pounds, sat down with his mom and the rest of his family yesterday and had a decision. He had 4 caps in front of him. It was Oregon, Arizona, Notre Dame, and I believe Michigan. And this is courtesy of CBS Sports, and this is what it came down to for Jaden Lamar.
But with that being said, I will be committing to play football at the University of Notre Dame.
There you go.
Yo. His mother was really happy with that decision, bro. You see these decisions, you get a sneak peek into like who really is rocking with the decision and who might have been leaning towards another school.
That's right. Dad was happy, but Dad's like,
his dad was not as happy as mom,
And it's crazy how visible the parents look. Talk about having no composure.
We go back to
they're bad poker players.
Yes. Yes. Who was the his name?
Landon Collins.
Landon Collins. Long time, man. Great player at Alabama. Great player in the NFL for multiple teams.
Great player in the NFL.
His mother flat out just
it's like, nah, man.
That ain't it. You're just gonna embarrass your son? His commitment.
Like you that important about what you care about.
Right. And it ended up working out.
Great. Got a couple championships out of it.
I was like, man, like parents, take it easy, man. Like we understand you have your opinion, but ultimately this decision is that young man's to go where he wants to go. So that I have to give credit to Mike White, not Mike White. I have to give credit to a story about Jaden Lamar and his decision from SB Live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written by Vince Miller. And I just want to read an excerpt because even Tobias Merriweather's father had to retweet this story and talk about it because it impacted Tobias's decision to ultimately come to Notre Dame. And it talked about basically how difficult it was for Jaden Lamar to make the decision not to include Washington, his home state school, in his top 4. And he basically went on to talk about the lack of continuity within the program. 2 years ago, Chris Peterson, steps away unexpectedly. And longtime defensive back assistant Jimmy Lake is elevated to the head coach. He's dismissed. And then the next thing you know, they have, guys that are just temporary and this lack of continuity. This kid is the whole time he's watching this as a freshman in high school. Grew up wanting to be a Husky football player, but he's looking at the entire program in disarray. And he's saying to himself, like, as much as I love that school, I can't go there right now. Like, I can't do it. And he talked about how he was bullied by people in the community, bullied by Washington Husky fans, on social media for making that decision, which is sad within itself, which is why we tell Notre Dame fans all the time, like, relax. Like, just relax.
Just
Like,
relax.
we understand everybody wants their team to win, but we're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Relax. And they just talked about it's worse. Basically, the culture is worse than most people think.
And
Right?
Washington.
In Washington.
Really?
So, yeah. So that's why it's been so hard to recover after Chris Peterson.
They have so many first-round guys. They had first-round guys this last year.
I know. So they have talent, but this goes back to what we've been talking about, bro. You can have talent, but the talent can cover up so much turmoil that might be taking place in the locker room and within the program. And if you don't get the right person, right, which goes to what Ryan Barnes is saying, Marcus Freeman is not only a great hire as a head coach, he's a great hire as far as the team morale, which was low, very low under the previous head coach. Very low. Notre Dame just recruits really well. They just recruit very well, dude. They don't recruit at the level of Alabama and Georgia, but in the grand scheme of things,
no.
Heck, they've been recruiting top 10 for a long time. And you keep stacking top 10 classes, you're going to win some football games.
You're going to win something.
You're going to win football games. And the culture at Notre Dame, which is why I always take my hat off and tip my cap to Notre Dame players and say thank you as a fan for building a culture and making sure that you guys stuck together in spite of things that were going on that might not come out for another 10 to 15 years.
But you know what's crazy is that stuff like that is what also motivates teams. Oddly enough, be the right motivation for teams that get that extra kick in their attitude or that extra oomph in what they need to be as good as they are in the season. I mean, you look at the 2001 Miami team, I'm sure they have a bunch of stories that still haven't came out.
Yeah.
About the things that were going on, but in the midst of it, whatever it was still making them who they were as a great team. So sometimes you need a little chaos. You look at Cam Newton and the things he was going through with the recruiting scandals, which would be laughable now with the NIL, but the recruiting scandals of that time and how with all this stuff going on, he still was able to win a championship in 1 year, beat Saban, win the Heisman. I mean, all of that stuff it took a lot out of the program after they left, and Auburn had a little slump, but for years during that time, even with Nick Marshall, they went back to the championship and had some great years. But, sometimes turmoil in the program can also get a team over the hump as well.
Yeah. It's always good to have, that's in any walk of life. Like anytime you receive something, you should expect to be challenged if you want to be great at it or if you want greatness out of it, right?
Right.
There is no hero without a villain. I've never seen a movie with a hero that didn't have a villain in it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a hero.
So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And, I think this question right here, like, thank you, Antoine. Coach Rideau for tapping in. Malik, what was your relationship with Shaun Kaiser like during the 2016 season? See, if you can answer it, but I'll say this. That question is more about who the coach was and how things were handled than it is the relationship between you all. Like, and you can go ahead and expound upon it, but that's what I've come to learn by listening to you guys in conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a poor management of the situation, which obviously made it frustrating on both of our ends, not on a peer-to-peer thing, but more on you in the way of messing up each of our individual success trying to, get beyond this place by not allowing us the proper time to develop like we should have. And I think that, with the success of my that we had after my absence and it being so early, you pushing people in positions where they wasn't expecting it. Everything that happens is like oh wow, like everything I do is just happens to be great. I'm in this lottery position. So I think that success in of itself changed the perspective of where they probably thought uh, a lot of where the team could be fixed at and moved in a better position. But, it's like all smoke and mirrors because when you have to put the work in to really develop the type of chemistry and the things that we had clicking at the time,
Mm-hmm.
it takes more than just the success of what talent can give you when you can close your eyes and call any play in the playbook. And then when you reset after losing a lot of those guys that you were working with, like I told you, a lot of guys at that point in 2015 were like a bunch of the rejects that were pissed off and were really talented and got a lot of experience in, coming together in chemistry that it was just unfortunate that they had to play against somebody else because they was just on fire to where you transition out of that into a team that now they have all the expectations off of the success, but have no work that they really put in,
Mm-hmm.
so they living off of, somebody else's work and it you can't do that in college football or football in general because it's just too hard of a game. Like we talk about, you got to get 11 guys on the same page every play.
Mm-hmm.
And if you out there just coasting and now you have to be the facilitator, you have to be the guy that's expected to pull everything together,
Yeah.
you can't fake that. So you're going to lose some games. And I think that when you aren't backed by the right people that are in your best interest of trying to see your personal development the right way, and they're just living off of, the success of what's going on, it can hinder you because, you know, you've done those things, you have accomplishments, and you're not getting told like, okay, maybe there's some things that you got to put the work in off season, but you avoiding.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, what do you want? You're not giving you out of order, So when you're not in the natural order of things, the development on the individual, it harms everybody. So I think, the success we had early was one of those things that I talk about with Marcus Freeman and coming upon this season is that you got to be able to manage the amount of talent that you have, and that's just as hard as not having any talent. So
Facts.
it takes a guy to be able to delineate what makes a team go. And I think that's why you pay the head coaches as much as you do, because it's a delicate balance. And when you don't do it right, you'll be really frustrated because you'll be a Washington or a Florida with a bunch of first round guys, but you can't win no damn games.
Yeah.
And it makes it a fire shoot because now you got to fire people and restart and so it just makes it complicated. But the relationship that I've always had with Deshaun, before it got into a playing football situation was always great. I mean, both our girlfriends went to Ohio State at the time. We made trips out there, and I think that the game of football at that level, especially quarterbacks, we all ego driven. We all think we're the best at what we do. It just I don't think there's a lot of great quarterbacks that are best friends either. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of guys that are friends, but at that level, it's just hard. Like Baker's not best friends with Deshaun, even though they probably have great relationship off the field. It's just the situation of that position. It just makes guys kind of frenemies. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Even with like you look at like Kyler and Kyle Allen, at Texas A&M under Kevin Sumlin, how you both have NFL starting quarterbacks and you mismanage the situation and lose both of them.
And lose both of them.
So it's like
great
both
example.
of those kids are still really good,
Yeah.
but you don't know how to put it together and your team sucks that year. So I think it's very similar to just how, those guys are probably great friends, but the situation kind of mucked up a lot of what could have been,
Yeah, and you never discredit the former coaching staff and what they were able to accomplish from a record standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing.
The record speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, you winning is nothing's the problem when you're
But
winning.
you can't ignore, and a lot of people try to come at you when you started talking about that 2016 season. Like, oh, you're just mad because you weren't able to be successful. Look, at the end of the day, this is what kills me, right? These are the same people that will say, well, you're a student athlete and you're getting an opportunity to get an education. Well, Malik, did you get your degree from the University of Notre Dame?
Yeah, I graduated early.
Oh, okay, you graduated early. Okay, then you based upon that argument, you did what you came to do, right? Well, now don't bring all that NFL stuff into the picture because you still have the right to speak on the conditions of the program and what was going on. Just because you didn't make it to the NFL, that doesn't mean that you're speaking from a place of having, just being sour towards, not being able to get to your ultimate destination and the way things went down. And now your relationship between Deshaun Kaiser, you and Brian Kelly comes into focus. And it's like, look, stop making excuses. Just listen.
Being sour.
Just listen to not one, not two, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We go into the teams, possibly up into 50, 60 players that have the same story of the conditions within the program. And based upon what I know over the last 2 years and your best player and what was going on with him, the conditions within the program and the morale was low, an all-time low. And the players still found a way to win games.
Yeah, I mean, even our best players were going through it. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like Ronnie, $100 million best tackle, never giving up a sack his senior year, was going through it, not being able to get the captain logo and that whole thing. It's like your head coach supposed to be looking out for you, man, and getting you that captain spot like Ronnie deserved. And even going through that situation, which wasn't really talked about as much, but that affected the team, So it's just stuff that I believe Marcus Freeman probably would have had a handle on, and it probably would have never gotten to that level of things. But, not everybody can handle having a lot of money, in a sense. Yeah. Like having a surplus of talent. Some kids wouldn't know what to do with that,
Yeah.
So it takes a certain kind of person.
You know what it reminds me of? And I'm going to throw a lifeline to the previous coaching staff because it reminds me of Mike Ditka in the Super Bowl on the 1-yard line, giving the ball to Refrigerator Perry when you had the greatest running back in the history of the NFL at the time in the backfield that carried a sorry franchise for years on his back. And now he has an opportunity to be part of the Super Bowl, and you take his opportunity to get a touchdown away for that. And afterwards, he was like, yo, I never really thought about it from that standpoint. That's what Ditka said. Like, I didn't know it would have that effect. And I would say after his coaching career, Coach would probably look back and say, you know what? I did some things And I never really thought it would impact my players or certain players like that. I'm sure he will. Like, because I don't think he just with intent did things to weaken or destroy players. I don't think that makes any program better for a coach.
I think you don't intentionally do it to destroy the player, but you intentionally do things to avoid having to deal with the situation. You know what I mean? I think as a head coach, it's easy to not stick up for one of your players if he's going through it.
Right.
You can always throw the whole, it's a team game. You know, you don't want to be a cancer for a team. There's a lot of things that coaches don't have to do that unwrittenly, as a coach that loves the program, guys love playing for him, that would do unwittingly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the NBA unspoken rules, there are unspoken things that head coaches for college football programs that are successful that will do for players.
Yeah.
That, you know, people would probably be like, it's easy for them not to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Easy for them to be like, you know, I don't have to put my name on the line for this because it's risky.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it could really help the player and all type of stuff. So there's things like that I don't think Coach Kelly would do for the player that he could. It wouldn't be no sweat off his back, really, but he wouldn't go that far to do it either, you know. In hindsight, it would help the team too, but
yeah,
he'd rather take the latter of the situation, which made a lot of guys feel like, dang, man, you ain't got my back. Not that, and like, again, he didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? A lot of things you didn't have to do.
Right.
But there's things that you could be like, man, okay, I could understand, you know what I mean? You could look out for your boy, you know.
Right.
And I think that rubbed a lot of guys the wrong way.
Andrew Rose, we thank you for tapping in. Andrew says, I was at a barbecue for Angels minor leaguers and asked Hunter Jr. about his time in Notre Dame. He said he was glad to be a minor leaguer. That's
See, and that's the thing. I think Torrey
if you missed, you know, our interview, we actually had Torrey Hunter Jr. on earlier this year. It was a great interview. You can go search the archives of our shows on the YouTube page. Great time talking to Torrey Hunter Jr. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, even with Torrey, just a frustrated guy that could have had so many more accolades and accomplishments at Notre Dame on the baseball diamond and on a football field. I just think it was just unfortunate. I think that's the guy that would have benefited from me playing in 2016 just because that's my classmate and just I know Torrey through the process. I think he could have benefited so much more from me that year, especially after the 2015 year for both of us.
Yeah.
Because just coming back on the scene, he had some injuries early on, and I was coming off injuries, so I think it would have been a really good year if I got a chance to help Torrey out that year. It might have even changed how he's playing baseball right now.
Yeah.
I think he would still be playing football right now if we had a successful year that year. So, you know, I'm glad he's doing what he loves to do now, but, you know, that's just an example of another guy that coach could have let him play baseball. You know what I mean?
Yo, I'll say this again.
He have to do it, but, you know,
I've never seen, and maybe this is because it's Notre Dame, but I've never seen a first, second round talent on the offensive line in the middle of the season say, I'm out. I'm going to Capitol Hill. Like, and look, it's a lot of very intelligent young men that still finish out the season.
Steve was a Q without the aggressiveness and stuff.
Right.
Like Steve was really, really good.
And that's why Harry was so hard on him.
Yeah, Harry loved him.
Yeah.
Loved him. But Steve just couldn't he just couldn't understand, like, person to person, like, why are you yelling at me like that, Harry?
Right.
He was that like grounded, which is why he obviously went to go do the Capitol Hill thing. But he just couldn't understand the football, like, I gotta cuss at you because this makes you better. He couldn't understand that. It was more like come on, man, we just doing our job, like A very professional mindset for a guy that young.
Thank you, Matt Racky 40. I guess that's his social media tag. So follow him, guys. Malik, did they try to change your throwing motion? And if so, how hard was that on you?
Coach Kelly didn't know what he was talking about. We didn't have no look. There's a difference between having a quarterback coach and having a quarterback trainer.
You're about to open up something right now. I just want you to know this is like a piece of the book. Go ahead.
I think you go to quarterback trainers to learn how to, like you see in today's game, guys that could teach you certain techniques on throwing and that kind of thing. And then there's quarterback coaches that are your literal quarterback coach, your position coach that help teach you the offense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got to have a guy to teach you the offense in what you're learning so everybody's on the same page. That doesn't mean that he's teaching you different arm angles or different levels of throws or how to do certain things on a quarterback level. You can't blame guys who never played. I mean, I'm not expecting to learn too much from a guy that probably can't throw the ball right now or ever, so there's a difference in that. Tommy Rees played quarterback, did it, was there, is the quarterback coach / offensive coordinator. So you can expect from Tommy him teaching you at least things that helped him in the game.
Right.
So there's a difference between the two. I'm not looking at Coach Kelly or Coach Martin or, even Coach Stanford to a certain degree and being like, oh man, he's going to elevate me as a quarterback technically and stuff. Matt LaFleur was the closest to it, but his knowledge of the game was so helpful that it helped my physical football skills. You know what I mean? That's why he's the head coach of the Packers. Guys,
and that was the infancy of his coaching career. Like,
that was the infancy. Yeah. This is him coming off of Robert Griffin,
right,
as a GA assistant kind of guy. So, it's no guys are always going to rise cream of the crop to what they should be doing. So to see a guy like Matt LaFleur and me saying that was my favorite and best coach that I had, and then to see him being the head coach of Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I wasn't lying. I mean, it was really like that. So I'm not surprised. I think learning the offense got better through the years, but we had so many different voices during that time teaching the same thing. Like, we'll be in a meeting and we'll have Sanford go through the whole 45 minutes, what we doing that day, get ready for practice. Coach Kelly will come in and then say something that was so diametrically opposite that everybody was kind of like, so which way are we going here? And it is right before practice, because then you get in practice and you have to decide, do I do it the way Coach Kelly brought it up, or do I do it the way? Because, as a young kid, you're trying to do it right. So I've got caught at times where I'm like, but Coach Kelly told me to do it this way. And then it's embarrassing because, everybody looking at everybody like, you learn early on, just do it the way Coach Kelly tell you. But that's where problems came,
Right.
That's where problems like getting a delay of game coming out of a timeout came. Like, what the
which used to infuriate. What you just said right there has infuriated Notre Dame fans for the longest. Like, how are we getting all these delay penalties coming out of timeouts? Why does it take a play so long to come in from the sideline? Like, who's calling the plays? Who's making is it a debate on the sideline? Like, no, we can't run that. We should run this. Man, just script the plays and just run them.
So, and I do think that plays into why you see a rotation of coaches outside of the fact that they're hard to say no to jobs. Mm-hmm. But the change of the guard at coaches, especially on the offensive side, it's got to be, I think when you go through Notre Dame during the time, everybody at that point realizes, you know what, I need to do this myself. And I think that's why a lot of guys don't stay longer than a couple years because you can be like, you know what, I think I'm good enough to do this on my own. And aside from the fact that I'm getting another opportunity somewhere to pay me a little bit more, but
Yeah.
there's a reason why retention was always an issue.
Now, someone made a good point. Shout out to Pierre. And I forgot about this because you were there at the time. Because when Ev had to sit out the year and he went and worked with the quarterback guru, in his downtime and then came back, I know BK probably had a fit with that entire situation.
Well, I mean, at that time, everybody, it's like the thing is, it's not too many people that are good at playing quarterback, which is why there's not a Peyton Manning every year in the draft.
Let me ask you a question. And it's in 3 parts, real simple. Everett Golson, Malik Zaire, and DeShone Kizer. Well, all 3 of them NFL quarterbacks.
100%. 100%.
So that was 3 consecutive quarterbacks that could have changed the entire narrative of the quarterback room at Notre Dame.
The entire one. I think Ed was on his way. Obviously, he had gotten – I think that year messed it just the momentum up because, you sit a year out of football. I mean, that's kind of hard to just come back and just be on top. Even if you're training all off season, I think that's just an overrated thing only because you got to, not everybody is good at training quarterback. Like you can't just, if you got a Mercedes, you can't just go to Jiffy Lube and get your car changed. You know what I mean?
No, you got to take that to the dealership,
take it
to yeah.
You got to take it to the dealership.
Yeah.
So if you go into these Jiffy Lube ass trainers, you're wasting time, and nothing is ever going to replace actual game experience, actual practice experience.
You don't like the broom pass rush, bro?
Like that, look, you only got the broom because that was in your kitchen. It wasn't like it was an actual function. It was like being creative on the spot, which is what some of this stuff has turned into. I think the fundamental stuff of just being able to complete a pass consistently is all the training you really need at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think if you can hit a 5 and out 100 times straight, that's an impressive ass thing to do.
Yeah.
Impressive as shit. You running around in your backyard and throwing passes under your legs and behind your back, and there's a reason why you only see a couple guys every year still in the playoffs. You're not seeing Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. You're not seeing him first year pop into the playoff because it's hard. A lot of this quarterback training stuff is overrated. So going back all the way to changing your motion and just developing, I think you do have to go off site a little bit to develop your own game, but that's just reps, in my opinion. Reps instructed by the right person that's around the person that's did it or the person that's actually did it. So like training with Brady Quinn, I felt like was more value to me in the short time that I was able to do it with him than going to any guy with a broom. You know what I mean?
Facts.
I just think that experience, just the conversations you have without the cameras, I think it just helps you develop faster.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, once again featuring Anora Whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, make sure that you drink responsibly. It's the perfect way, the perfect nightcap for a Notre Dame win, Anora Whiskey. So, great conversation, bro. Like, just great conversation. This show turned out better than I thought it would. Like, I was thinking about the conversation I had yesterday and just what we had seen on Varsity House podcast and some of the comments that had recently been made. And I'm like, you know what? This is a diversion. Like, all of this is a diversion to what was really going on, from a locker room standpoint. Like, let's keep it a buck. Like, you were losing it, and there was really no way to get it back. Things were too far gone. Yeah, I think the players might have wanted you gone. They couldn't get rid of you. Wasn't like they could go to administration after winning like 10, 11 games and going to 2 college football playoffs. Like, man, can we get him out of here? But the morale was bad. And when I heard Ryan Barnes talk about that, how the morale is totally different. The team morale is totally different now with Coach Freeman. I'm like, and it doesn't mean that they're going to end up with just as many wins over the next 10 years. That's yet to be seen. But as someone said in the chat, like, yo, it's easy to see why Phil Jacoby is at Boston College now from a quarterback standpoint. Like,
Yeah.
you it probably was, when you saw Phil transfer, it probably triggered you.
Yeah, it's just like, man, he ain't trying to deal with that nonsense, and I don't blame him. Like, he didn't get trapped in the shit. I'm almost done and I gotta graduate. That's kind of what I went through. I was like, shit, I'm almost done, I gotta graduate. But Phil, I mean, he's like, man, I'm not about to sit here and play with y'all. Essentially, is what I felt he felt by leaving as decisively as he did, because you can see how they were setting it up. Ian was coming back, and it wasn't, it just wasn't the time allotted for him to really grow, because even if Ian had like 2 seasons after that or something like that. So yeah, no chance. I think that he saw the writing on the wall, and sometimes you got to make that decision, even though it's a school you may have wanted to go to, especially if they're not seeing for what it could have been. I think Phil felt like maybe at a time and point that he could have competed for the spot, but I don't know. Maybe Coach Kelly and Ian had a deal where Ian was just going to ride the next 3 out. So he got up out of there, and you got to see how he still had talent, which I think is good for him, man. You got to see him really play some games and even get a chance to play against Notre Dame. So I think that's something that he's probably circling his own calendar.
Yeah, Andre Neely says, when is the liquor coming to North Kakalaka?
Man, so Honora is doing great right now. We actually got a new brand coming up. We're working on a brandy, a lot easier to make and sell. So stay on the lookout. Just dropped some new info. But the Honora, man, we got another round of investment that we're going to do, and then we're going to get it into the online so we can get a little bit more everywhere, fulfill some orders. But we on the way.
This is a very important point I want to make sure that a lot of people don't talk about. Pierre says, how about Kaiser going pro too soon? Who was his advisor? There was no advisor to get the hell away from what was going on.
Well,
you didn't need an advisor for that. Now,
I think in the perfect world, they were like, after the 15th season, all the little writers are like, this is a first round guy. Coach Kelly probably was tired.
Forget the plethora of talent that surrounded him.
Coach Kelly was probably so tired of people saying, you can't get a first round quarterback, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. In my honest opinion, I really believe that he got so hell-bent on having his first round QB that he sacrificed everything else for it. And just to make a point on his coaching notch of, I got me a first round quarterback, all y'all can shut the hell up because look at what I did, kind of thing.
So he sacrificed his development.
He sacrificed Deshaun's development. He let Deshaun buy into the press clippings, which made Deshaun stop caring about winning first, which made him feel like, okay, we suck. I don't like Coach Kelly like everybody else. I'm about to get the hell up out of here and go first round. Like, that's an easy way to sum up a season which we were 4-8. It's an easy theory to make, but there's a lot of things you can point to be like, those were more important at the time. And so I do think because of those factors included, and we had a bad season, he felt like he was just going to somehow change all of that. But then again, when you getting projected first, second round, shit, I want to leave too. I think everybody wants to leave. So it's between a rock and a hard place when I think in the back of your mind, you know, you went 4-8, you don't feel like you're ready. Everybody's telling you you're ready. You think you can go figure it out, but you really know that you didn't want to end on a point like that because, you know, nobody wants to go in losing games. And it's just like they kind of pushed you to go. It wasn't like, you know, one of those situations. So I think when you mess up the natural order of things, you in a lot of funky situations. You know, even I knew he was going to leave, but I'm like, damn, how do I stay? It was like I was supposed to be the one leaving. He's supposed to be staying this year, getting another year, you know, whatever. But now I got to go find somewhere else because it's just a funky situation. Then you got Brandon back here that's now, you know, me being courteous to Brandon, I'm like, look, let's just everybody start over. Now Brandon got his, you know, 2-3 years with Ian in the backup. So I was thinking at least it would reset things. But, you know, clearly that got shaken up a little bit too. So I think there's just a lot of different pieces involved. But it goes back to when you have a lot of superstar talent, it's not an easy thing to manage when you want to put yourself first. You want to be the winningest coach of all time. Well, whatever.
Man, this is funny. Jay Chiller said his LL version of Drink Champs coming soon or what? SD and Malik about to pop them bottles of Lenora whiskey in there. Yeah. That would probably take me moving to the West Coast.
Yeah, we got to get a studio and all type of stuff.
That would take SD moving to the West Coast and having our own studio. And I mean, the alum base out there in LA or California is pretty strong. And we wouldn't have a problem getting people to come in. But yeah, Lucas Chapman says some brandy, huh? I haven't drank brandy since E&J back in the day.
Well, we making it special. We making it with a little apple flavor, you know. We trying to give the people some more American taste, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So before we go, I do want people that missed out earlier. We showed the moment that Jaden Lamar decided to commit to Notre Dame on yesterday, and then he released his own video about his commitment on his Twitter page. If you missed that, here it is.
Jaden Lamar, he forced.
So did you see at the end, did you see his logo? Yo, did you peep? The young man already has his logo. I'm like, okay.
No, it's a different game now.
It's a different game nowadays.
It's a different game now.
I
was just trying to make sure
get pushed back.
Like I was just trying to make sure I got my damn classes and my schedule right. First day on campus. You got your own logo. You ahead of the game, young man. I was literally lost my first day of school. So I can only imagine what them kids thinking now.
So also 2022 commit out of these I was about to say Sunshine State, my mistake. Out of California, 6'5", 240, Eli Raritan, remember, was playing basketball and tore his ACL this fall. It's a great day. He showed himself on his Twitter page back in the gym with the words reminiscent of Michael Jordan when he returned from retirement. Simply, I'm back.
Go eat. Go, Eli.
That's 6 months post-surgery. Seems like he'll be ready to go for fall camp. I'm sure they'll take it slow with him just to make sure, but he's an extremely talented pass catcher and will be a welcome addition. Second option behind Michael Mayer and other options like Holden States coming in as well in the tight end room.
Nice too.
Yeah, he's nice as well. So
Nice too.
it's good to see the young man back. You know, when we heard about the injury, we're like, oh man, that sucks. But good to see him back. I don't spend a lot of time in the weight room like you football players. How much was he throwing up? That looked like 4 on each side, right? And they're usually like 45.
Yeah, them boys putting in some work.
I'm like, yeah, man. That's the type of stuff that makes my entire core hurt just watching. Like, ooh. Yeah, okay. I don't even think in my peak athleticism, I think the most I ever benched, bro, keeping it a buck, the most I ever threw up, maxing out, might have been like 230.
Really?
Yeah, because see, Morgan Park back then, it's terrible, dude. We didn't have a weight room, fam. Like sports were different back then. Like we didn't have a weight room. We didn't lift. The weight room was literally like one bench, some free weights, and like one of those old school machines, 4-sided machines, bro.
So y'all was not serious.
No, not at all. Not at all. It was like raw talent, just simply raw talent. Walk out on the field, get it done. That's it. Now we ran for days. Cardio was crazy. But other than that, no. That was no focus on a weight room. No money put towards the program, none of that.
You said no money towards the
No, none of that. None of that. Football players were walking down the hallway selling those world finest chocolates, candy bars.
Oh,
yeah. That's dude. That got the uniforms every year.
Okay, so that was your version of fundraising. Y'all didn't do the car washes thing?
No. Come on, man. Car washes?
No.
In Chicago over the summer?
That sounded like it would have been a thing. That's what we did.
Try getting football players to come up to the school before 2-a-days.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, no, we too busy trying to go to the festivals, Taste of Chicago, kick it, Evergreen Plaza, get numbers. Man, look. Nah. Michael Grace, thank you for the super chat. LL Nation, we appreciate all of the support, all your continued support. You make us everything we are, man. Making a nice push to 2,300. And we just started back in August, bro. So this is amazing to be at this point. And truly, I feel truly blessed. I think I speak for my brother as well. The fact that we can come sit and talk not Morgan Park, man. I just saw somebody put Morgan Park in that Notre Dame football with you guys and do it differently. And spin it different than anybody else. Yes, everybody. Lucky Lefty cut his hair. No more afro, no more cornrows. This is the Malik that committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah, this is like I rewinded like 7 years ago. But I appreciate the love, man. I like it kind of short.
Yeah, everybody's loving it, dude. Man, who's it? Savage Sayana Fitness, Shaun. That's all you. I can do a lot of lifts with what you had. I'm glad, man. Knock yourself out. And it's not the fact that I wouldn't have loved to do it. We just weren't introduced to training, bro. We just weren't.
It wasn't a premium, it was more about having fun and just showing up. Shit.
That's it. And so when I see pictures of like high school players like coming in, standing there, supporting each other, like cheering each other on, just to get a personal best and stuff like that. I'm like, who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
That's right.
But that type of environment was never presented to us. Like thankfully things have changed. And you have schools like Morgan Park has made a commitment in multiple sports. They've made a commitment even in the baseball program. Kenwood, Phillips.
Yeah, Kenwood.
Simeon. I think Simeon was kind of ahead of their time. Even
Really?
back then. Yeah, even back then. Simeon was turning out first round picks in baseball, 5-star, 4 stars in football, of course, 5-star and 4 stars in basketball. They were a complete sports program, even when I was a kid, before I got to high school. So they were before their time. But everybody else eventually caught up. So I don't know where the funding came from. Maybe there was a financial boom in the Chicago Board of Education, and they were able to fund certain things. But somehow, some way, things have changed for the positive for a lot of public schools in the city of Chicago. And I like seeing that because that means kids get a fair shot.
Yeah.
In comparison to the rest of the country, they get a fair shot to be at their best. So, man, double down the next time I'm back out in Cali.
Yep.
The next time back out in Cali. I went, when was I there? Like the first week in May?
Yeah, the first.
I went there. I didn't know I was going to be in Cali at that time. I'll be back out there the 28th through the 30th for the Elite 11. I think that's the next time in Cali.
Okay, cool.
We're both going to be, in town for the Elite 11. I'll be out there checking in on Dante Moore and the rest of the crew that's coming out there for the national competition. It should be fun too.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be fun. So that's June 28th through the 30th, if I'm not mistaken. Next week, we have 2 guests already slotted. Tuesday, 1988 national champion linebacker Wes Pritchett joins us on the Lucky Lefty podcast next Tuesday. And then next Thursday, number 8, Ocho.
Kendall boy.
Kendall Moore.
My dog.
Former Notre Dame linebacker joins us next Thursday on the Lucky Lefty podcast. You know what it is. We spin it different. And they're still trying to catch up, bro. I don't know if they will, but we spin it different. Make sure you do the same today. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing. Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you. You don't? No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
That's right. Petty Post Junction. Petty stories of the day. Somebody said something, wrote something, did something that was super petty. You got to throw you on the petty train. We do it each and every day, brought to you by Nora Whiskey and NoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, NoraWhiskey.com. So, look, we kind of teased it, but, I had to throw him on the petty train. I submit to you none other than Nick Wright. You want me to go down the list of things he said that was wrong? That's why I can't stand this dude. I don't like anybody in the media.
What's he supposed to say? It's a prediction. It's a prediction.
Bro, once again, let me go down the list of things he said that was wrong.
That's funny.
He said Andrew Wiggins was a horrible basketball player.
Not a first pick. I wouldn't say that.
Hey, I didn't take him number 1 overall.
That's what I'm saying.
Did.
Right.
But it's amazing when you put basketball players around other good basketball players. It's amazing how good they get.
It's amazing.
That's amazing, right?
Like your boy Zach LaVine.
Right. Like when you go to the YMCA, the good hoopers don't pick bad hoopers to hoop with.
No, they don't.
They usually come with other good hoopers with the squad already assembled.
And
but
the
they
only
don't come
time
to
they
the
ever,
Y. Right. They're not coming to LA Fitness looking to pick who they want to play with. No. They don't take that chance.
no, they don't take the chance.
They don't take a chance. They come with their 5. And they say, we're going to run the court until we're ready to go.
Too ready to go.
Good players like to play with other good players.
That's right.
They don't like the mid. That's number one. So, first of all, he's a narrative-driven guy. That's number one. He built his entire career off of LeBron as the best ever. Period.
Well,
that's what got him noticed.
Well, that's true.
That's the same. And Brian Windhorst came up because he covered LeBron in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Let's keep it a buck.
Wait a minute.
Let's keep it a buck.
Calm down.
No, I'm just saying. If I knew LeBron back then, I would have taken advantage of the situation too and built whatever I could have built off of his back from a financial standpoint. I'm just saying. I'm not hating.
People just using Ohio guys left and right.
I'm just pointing out the facts. So I'm just pointing out that Nick Wright is a narrative-driven dude. He said Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Draymond would never make the finals. What did they do last night?
Now they made it to the finals and looked like the best team too.
Okay. He said Bob Myers made the wrong decision and didn't know what he was doing. And he said youngsters can't help you in the playoffs. What did Moody? How many points did Moody score last night?
Oh, he was getting buckets too the game before.
Oh, yeah. How many points did Kuminga score last night in the game before? Didn't Kuminga have like a big game in the Memphis series?
He did.
Oh, okay. But young players can't help you in the playoffs.
See, people be thinking.
Hey, man, stop. Look, this dude has never, ever picked up a basketball in his life. Ever.
Don't talk about
very little.
They'll talk about my
game of basketball. No, I'm keeping a buck right now.
He be getting on my dog Skip. He be getting on my dog Skip.
Platform. So I'm gonna keep a buck on this dude right now. Look here, man. Y'all stop falling for these dudes that build everything on narratives and know very little about the game of basketball and never obtained a squeaky sneaker ever in their life. They don't even know that their sneakers can squeak because they've never been on the hardwood.
So what are you saying about so are you saying that these guys that don't play can't speak on the game like Skip Bayless?
No. You can talk. Everybody has a mouth. So you can speak.
Oh, okay. Everybody can say anything. Okay.
No, and Skip played the game in high school, didn't he? Jalen Rose pointed that out. He averaged 1.2 points per game in his high school career. Jalen Rose did a great job pointing that out when he was on ESPN. Yeah, Skip. We show love to Skip.
So you said Nick ain't never touched the basketball.
He doesn't even know the sneakers can squeak. Ever. Ever.
And that's crazy.
And you got the nerve to tell a guy like Bob Myers that has put in over 20 years in the game of basketball to know how to build a team and how to keep a team going. The guy that convinced KD to come.
Him to have the acumen to draft Steph after coming off of the Baron Davis, Jason Richardson years, which is why I was a Warriors fan before all this Steph craziness. I was an orange jersey, Jason Richardson, Baron Davis, dunking on Andre Karolinko.
Yes.
That was me.
Yes.
Now I am no longer a Golden State fan. I would never root for them because there's so many bandwagons. And they just went to the finals.
I was about to say, you just bitter because they beat LeBron a couple of times.
No, I'm serious. I'm bitter because there's all these Warrior fans now. Now I see all these alternate colored jerseys now. I'm just like, yeah, this is like a starter pack team. Like if you start liking basketball, you go like the Warriors. Like that's your starter pack team.
That's your starter pack.
Yeah, we all.
I'm an NBA fan. Okay, we're gonna send you this Steph Curry jersey.
We're gonna send you the Steph Curry jersey with some Klay Thompson shoes or something. Like, get out of here, man. That's like the Chiefs. I'm no longer a Chiefs fan. I said as soon as Patrick Mahomes had one good year, I said I'm done. I'm walking away from the franchise. I'm burning my jerseys because now everybody want to be a Chiefs fan. They don't even know where Kansas City is. That's the problem.
I'm a Chiefs fan because he was supposed to be in Chicago. So I watch Chiefs games just imagining that it's really a Bears uniform. That's all I have.
Y'all don't want to be nice in Chicago. Y'all said Trubisky.
Not at all. Someone posted the video clip of the Louisville Clemson game. When it was Lamar against Deshaun.
What a great game that was, man.
And they were like, yo, imagine watching this, because at the time, the former GM of the Bears was actually at the game. And someone tweeted out, imagine watching this game and thinking Mitch Trubisky was the pick.
Imagine watching the game being like, we don't want neither one of these guys.
We don't want Lamar or neither one of these guys.
This exciting ass game that went to the wire, that's cool, but we don't want neither one.
Yeah, we're going to pick Mitch Trubisky from North Carolina.
We want the guy playing against Virginia next week. Yeah, come on.
The guy that lost to I think he lost to Stanford, like in a bowl game down in like New Mexico or something.
Yeah, the guy that's losing to Pittsburgh in the Alamo Bowl or something like that.
But he's your starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, though.
Is he? I thought Mason Rudolph would, they both about terrible.
You're about right. You are about right about that.
But it's like it's not even about being good anymore. You just got to get fortunate enough to find your way in a starting spot. Because I feel like Mitch Trubisky probably knows I'm not that nice.
No.
But at least I'm playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a quick update. A great article Mike White had in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette concerning Rodney Gallagher and his commitment to West Virginia. You can go read it. We tweeted out the link yesterday from the Lucky Lefty Podcast Twitter page if you didn't see it. But I just want to read this quick excerpt. Gallagher made his announcement at a table with his sisters and father at his side. About 200 classmates and Laurel Highlands fans sat in the bleachers to hear his announcement. Gallagher said being close to his family played a big role in his decision. His father, Rodney Gallagher II, said, West Virginia coach Neil Brown calls him a hometown kid, even though we live in Pennsylvania. I thought Notre Dame had come in and stole the forefront for a minute, said Gallagher's father. I really thought for a little bit it was going to be Notre Dame.
Hey, what Mike Vickers said, we're going to fight.
They're going to fight.
We're not going to win them all.
Right.
We're fight to the end.
Right.
And we almost backdoored West Virginia. We almost shut West Virginia program down for about 3-4 years, man.
Almost had that boy break up with his girlfriend.
Almost had him break up with his girl, shut the hometown hero down. They probably would have been messed up for years. So now, I mean, it's hard to say a kid shouldn't go where he grew up, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and even though he lives in Pennsylvania, he's literally like 35, 40 minutes from campus. I just spent. It's like, come on, man.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Man,
go
damn.
ahead.
Man.
Like we understand.
You get it. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, we understand. So Luke Breeding, I want to get this. Any chance of Charlie Jones, the Iowa receiver that entered the transfer portal this week, coming to Notre Dame? From a number standpoint, I don't see it. I think Notre Dame was looking at wide receiver transfers early, maybe a couple of months ago, and things haven't gone the way a lot of people thought. Like, a lot of people thought there would be like 8 to 10 transfers off this roster at the end of last season. But as Ryan Barnes said, the team morale is totally different. Like, dude,
guys trying to play.
Guys are not trying to leave, man. Guys are trying to play. They want to play for Marcus Freeman.
That's definitely a credit. Definitely a credit to the messaging that Marcus Freeman and the coaching staff is given to the team, that they all probably believe that they don't know who's going to start.
Facts.
I think Marcus Freeman really sits in his office and be like, I'm not lying to these kids when I say I do not know who's going to start. So that right there probably got all them kids like, she probably talking about me.
Right. Right.
You go to Alabama where the situation, Georgia, where the situation is a little bit more defined, They just get off the championship bus, and you got guys leaving. So it's
Facts.
telling you how two different programs are operating.
Facts. And the degree keeps you there for 3 years. That's what you understand.
Yeah, it's like a chokehold. You get
It's like
in
a
and it's
chokehold.
like for 3.
It's like, dude, I
And
have
you don't
to
want
get
to
this
leave
degree.
that. You don't want to leave them stock options on the table by transferring because you ain't gonna get nothing for them.
Right. Exactly.
I waited the 2-year period, it's gonna start kicking in. But if I leave, it ain't gonna kick in. I'm gonna waste 2 years. It's just like, damn.
That Notre Dame degree is something else, boy, when it comes to transfers. Like, it'll hold you there another year or two.
He like, man, I gotta think about my future for real. I can't just be willy-nilly just all football. But so if you're gonna go to Notre Dame, I would advise know if you like it the first year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Know if you like it the first year and don't give it no chances. It's a black and white answer because the thing that Notre Dame always wins with is time. They always got time.
Yeah.
You don't got no time. They always got time.
Yeah. So shout out to the work, Chancey Stuckey, Al Washington, Mike Mickens, and the rest of the Notre Dame staff, along with Tommy Reese, Marcus Freeman, and Al Golden. Everybody's putting in work. Harry Easton, they're doing their thing out here. As I said before, I predicted by the time we get to July 4th, I expect the class to be up to 19 to 20 commits.
Yep, we should be there.
Man.
And the good thing, especially with a guy like Rodney Gallagher not committing,
Yeah.
is so sweet for us in a position where we're not pressed. West Virginia not getting Rodney committing is pressed.
Very much
Stressed and pressed. The whole
Yes.
class is dependent on that pick. For us, it's like, damn, we missed him. We almost had him, but we missed him. But it's okay because we got Carnell that maybe want to come. We got a couple other guys, Jordan Grayhouse maybe want to, we got some guys. So
don't forget Ronan Hannafin.
Oh, yeah, we ain't forgetting that either. And I do think that it'll just be interesting to see how it shifts out because now, I mean, we got about 8 receivers in the receiver room, about 10 safeties. I feel like every guy damn near plays. You damn near got to play safety to even get recruited. We got so many safety flip athlete type of deals. So I'm just excited to see it, man.
So, look, wide receiver, Notre Dame's going to get some good players.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to have good players at the least.
They're going to get good players, man. Shout
at
out.
The highest first rounders, at the least great players.
Yep. Yep. So, bro, once again, don't forget LL Nation. 2 guests next week, next Tuesday at noon Eastern. Wes Pritchett will be on with us. And then, look, I can't wait for these stories on Thursday because Kendall Moore's like, yeah, I got some stories.
That's my guy.
So Thursday,
he got the rough years, He got the years where he got the Ireland years, the championship years, and the years where everything crazy happens. So